COVID relief bill just been signed into law. And so there's a whole section on agriculture in it, and the part that's got a lot of eyebrows raised is the farm loan assistance for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. And in there it states that the secretary shall provide a payment in an amount up to 120% of the outstanding indebtedness of each socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher as of January 1, 2021. And how do you pay off? What those are farm loans, operating loans made by the USDA. And how do you pay off 120% of a loan? Well, I've only ever paid off 100% of a loan, never went 120%. So, but I'm going to take a guess and say what they're doing is paying off your loan entirely, and the amount that they pay, they're taking 20% out of that, and you're getting a check for it if you qualify. And so what this does is gives the people with the most amount of debt the biggest checks for them personally. So if you, in agriculture, operating loans can easily be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you owe $100,000 on January 1, 2021, you're going to get your bill paid and a check for $20,000. But if your neighbor had the same loan and he paid off $50,000 of it, he only owes $50,000 on January 1. He's going to get his $50,000 and he's only going to get 10 grand, half as much, and if somebody was real responsible and paid all their loan off, but they are not going to get any payment and they're not going to get any check. And so the question would be, who is the socially disadvantaged farmer and rancher? And so if you scroll down here, back to the COVID relief bill, it says that socially disadvantaged farmer and rancher has a meaning given the term in section 2501A of the Food, Agriculture, Conservation, and Trade Act of 1990. So you go to that, that's the Farm Bill from 1990. So you go to section 2501A, and it reads, the Secretary of Agriculture shall provide outreach and technical assistance to encourage and assist socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers to own and operate farms and ranches and to participate in agricultural programs. And so that section does not define who these socially disadvantaged are, but what it does, if you keep on reading, is explain that $10 million per year, this was written 31 years ago, $10 million per year was to be given in grants and contracts to community-based organizations that assist, what did they say? That outreach and assistance. And so those community-based organizations, I believe, have a lot to do with what is getting written into this bill today, because I went back and looked at every farm bill and just searched the term socially disadvantaged farmer. And all of them had tens of millions of dollars being paid out every year, except in 1996. It wasn't in that one. But from 1990 to now, 31 years later, there has been a total of, what I came up with was $545 million. So over $500 million was being paid out for outreach and assistance to socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. And that money, a large portion of it, was given to community-based organizations. And we still don't know who the socially disadvantaged farmer and rancher is. So if you go back to the Farm Bill, back to the 1990 Farm Bill, and you scroll down past Section A, you get to Section E, and you'll see definitions. Socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher means a farmer or rancher who is a member of a socially disadvantaged group. Still doesn't tell you. And so you got to scroll back up and go to socially disadvantaged group. And there it says, means a group whose members have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as a member of a group without regard to their individual qualities. Still about as clear as mud. Any group who's been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice. And so how do you find out if you can get 120% of your bills paid if you believe you're in one of these groups? And I'm going to take a wild guess and go back to those community-based organizations who've been paid over $500 million for the past 31 years to give assistance and outreach to these same socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. Those groups or those organizations, I'm going to make a guess, have members, and they charge a membership fee. And if you're a member, or if you want to join and pay their membership fee, and they'll show you exactly how to fill out the paperwork and get 120% of your bills paid if you qualify. And so what they do with the membership fees and the donations, if you get 120% of your bills paid, they're probably going to ask you for a donation as well. And what they're going to do with that, along with all the money that they've gotten out of all these farm bills over the years, is they take that and they pay their fat salaries so that there is a non-profit, so there's no profit. And then they're also going to give campaign contributions during the elections towards the politicians that are going to get this stuff written into these bills. And so that is pretty much a little slice of how this whole bill is more than likely written. And the people who are getting the best deal out of it are probably the ones with the best lobbyist groups. And since the taxpayers have been funding community-based organizations for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers for the past 31 years, that gives them a pretty good lobbyist group. The people that I keep thinking of all this past year as a small business owner, and maybe they're in these socially disadvantaged groups, and their family has spent generations building restaurants or bars or any of these entertainment businesses who've been completely shut down by their state and local governments. And now they're sitting at home bankrupt, and they're seeing this stuff, and I just cannot imagine what they're thinking. And what it comes down to is the restaurant groups or lobby is not nearly as strong as a lobby that has been funded by the taxpayers. And so who ends up getting screwed in the whole deal is every race and ethnicity of American taxpayer, because what you're paying for now is 120% of farmers and ranchers who fit into certain groups. You're paying 120% of their bill because they have an incredibly strong lobby and they have the politicians that will write this stuff into the bill. And that's pretty much how legislation works now.